Welcome back, Boise Entrepreneur Week. Day 3, still going strong. Have a special treat here for you. The winners of the Trail Mix Pitch Competition, Earth Beverage. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And first and foremost, congratulations on winning the grand prize of $25,000 and guaranteed shelf space at Albertsons. How does it feel?
It feels good. It feels intense. It also hasn't hit me personally yet. Eric was like dancing around in the kitchen yesterday, and I was kind of like, I'm not sure how to feel yet.
You were in the robot, and he was more like,
yeah.
You know,
It was a little surreal. I
Yeah,
think it
still.
didn't quite kick in yesterday. Hanging out at the party last night was fun, but kind of hadn't quite kicked in yet.
We weren't expecting it, so I think that made it. You know what I mean? I think if you roll into something, you're like, oh, I got this, I nailed it, and then it comes, versus if you're like, I really don't know what's going to happen, you're kind of like, wait, is this real? Is this what's actually happening? Did I do a big dance in the background, but that check doesn't have my name on it? Like, that was yeah.
So this year we had 7 finalists, which is
Yeah.
different from previous years. So you were one of 7. You beat more teams, in other words. But you said, the surrealness of it. What was the waiting period like? I know I had sort of changed plans and I decided to not tell the winner so we can get the proper dance shots in the background. But what did that do to you?
And normally
brutal.
we announce the winners the day of, right? So
Right.
you show up, you pitch, you get on stage, you get judged all in the course of like a couple hours. But you guys pitched 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know when to expect to know the news. And so I kind of didn't know. And then I had seen Free Spirits out and about when we were both doing deliveries at the same place. And I'm like, oh, we're going to find out today. And so that day I was like, oh my gosh. And then we got that email that was like, things have been more challenging. It's going to be a week. And I like melted a little bit.
That's
So I
my
was
way
like,
of saying I'm
oh.
going to paddle back from what I told you in the first place.
Yeah.
That's code.
Oh,
It was, no, we need their reactions
Just
live on
kidding.
camera. Let's not tell them yet.
I got slapped on the wrist. What were you thinking? You're not going to tell them.
it was so mean.
Let's talk
Hard.
about the money. What are you going to do with the 25 grand? Do you know?
We have some thoughts.
Some thoughts?
Yeah,
Any
we have a
thoughts?
couple of thoughts, but we don't know specifically what we're going to do with it yet. Because
Okay.
there's a few different ways we could skin this cat.
Out of curiosity, what's more gratifying at this very moment? 25 grand or shelf space at Albertsons?
Honestly, between those two, neither. It's the relationships, and even just today walking in and seeing the other winners. No, seriously though, because this is awesome. Shelf space is awesome, but what's going to catapult us into the future in both our lives and business is having this relationship with you and with our mentor and with other business owners. And it's fun to be friends with other business owners because like today, when we're done, we want to go to lunch, but like all of our friends work 9 to 5. And so we're kind of like, okay, no one can come with us, but like anybody who's here, who's making a small product that works weird hours gets it and they can come hang out.
That makes me happy on several
Yeah.
different
And
levels.
you guys scored too because your guys' mentor was Matt Price.
Yes,
And
he's
Matt
rad.
Price, obviously COO at Killer Creamery, long history of CPG. And so, how was working through with your mentor? Was that a...
You can throw him under the bus, totally. He's a Trailhead member. He's got nothing on
You
you.
promise we're not live right now. We can edit it out later.
Matt was awesome. Interestingly, last night I kept telling him thank you, and he kept saying I didn't do anything. I said no, you did so much, and what it wound up being was when he came in and looked at our presentation after we had kind of had it almost done, he came in, looked through it, and he said, I'm not going to change anything. And he's like, but I'm going to tell you these few things. And it was 3 words. One of them was drive trial. Mm-hmm. The other one was
Trade in and trade up.
Trade in and trade
I
out.
heard you say that
Yeah.
with
Yes.
the kombucha, the Kiva
Yeah,
comparison.
yep,
And the
yeah.
third one was?
Yeah,
Velocity,
velocity.
which we already
Yeah.
knew the concept, but I think it was also nice that he just felt like dad a little bit. So it's nice to be like, you did a good job. Just we needed that little push, and that was helpful. So yeah,
Well,
he's a cool guy.
I'm happy to hear that you made friends, and this is
Yes.
about the relationships. At the end of the day, that's what Trailhead and Trail Mix is all about. Yes, there's a grand prize, and yes, we tried to elevate you by getting you onto retail shelves. But I did notice that you mentioned how pleased you were that Chicano Foods also got an award.
Oh yeah, well, because when we went into it, we're super competitive, and so I was like, okay, if we lose to this person or this person or this person, how am I going to feel? And I was like, if we lose to her, I'll be so stoked because she is the
Wait,
nicest
you were
lady.
doing a matrix on how you would feel if you lost to a certain person.
Yes, to buffer
Yeah.
my emotions. I was protecting myself.
I can relate with this. I think I understand you.
Yes, thank you. But with her, she's just like, she's the sweetest. She's just one of those people you meet and you're like, oh my God, you're just such a good person. And so
When her
it made me
pitch-
really emotional, her winning too. I was just like, oh man, I didn't know the story until I watched the pitch on the video. And I was like, it did a thing to me.
So the embarrassing part about that is, so I like I did with you guys, I practiced and I coached all of the teams and I recorded all of the presentations just like I did with you. Well, I bawled during hers and I had to record myself doing it. And then I had to send myself bawling to her. All in all, yeah, it was a little embarrassing. But to your point, it was very touching.
Yeah.
I think just the story about how the pandemic forced certain people to like fold or not, or crawl into a hole, but other people launched businesses during the pandemic, and she was one of them. And she took all this, call it negative energy, and turned it into something positive. And that's the story of entrepreneurship to me.
Well, and something that we preach all the time is about resiliency, and that's a story that she really practiced that, right? And so that's something that we're constantly trying to talk to other entrepreneurs about. And I thought her story was so powerful. And a product's fantastic, so tasty. So like, I mean, that's
and unique.
That helps.
Very unique. That helps a lot. That it's really tasty.
And
it's
versatile.
really good. And very
It's a
versatile.
really good
It's a really
product.
good product.
Yeah.
I mean, the truth is, across the entire trail mix competition, all these products were very, very, very strong. This is probably the tightest. I've said this a couple times. This is the tightest in the delta of scoring. It's the tightest in just the taste test. I mean, it was a very, very, very tight trail mix.
It's also the tightest in terms of just general maturity of the CPG firm themselves. The 7 of you were just, pretty much all of you are shelf ready. And I don't know if I can say that about previous year's finalists, and which then was reflected in the scores. But, I'm specifically very happy for Cocoa Bombs and Chicano Foods. Also, the diversity of products mirrored by the diversity of people that were involved this year as finalists is also different from previous years.
It was a solid lineup. That's one of the reasons we didn't know if we were going to win, because every day I was like, man, like, but Naughty Foods. And I'd be like, those Cocoa Bombs. And I'd be like, Rich
Those
Chips.
Cocoa Bombs.
You know what I mean? Like, they were all really good. All things that I'm a very picky consumer, I would purchase any of those items. So, and it's hard to please me. So it was a good lineup. Good job, team.
Well, I had a little insight with you guys because I have been purchasing your products for a while, so I kind of thought,
do it.
yeah, I think a congratulations and a cheers are in order here.
Ooh,
Cheers to you.
missed you over there.
Yeah.
Hold on. Bad luck. Okay.
Bad luck.
Ooh, people that make these.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
they clearly do a pretty good job.
Mountain Berry Lemonade plus shrooms, not
So
those
which
kind.
one did everyone have? Which flavor did you get?
Oh, I'm drinking one of our Switchels, one of our best sellers. It's the turmeric lemon ginger. That's the one with the apple cider vinegar in it that we get from Fruitland, Idaho, and then local Idaho honey and our ginger that we juice in house as well. And the Switchels are really what I feel like has really like catapulted us. People are just grabbing onto those. They're what are moving on the shelves, and it's just a product that is really gaining popularity as well. We just found out yesterday or the day before, Whole Foods announced their trends for 2022, and that was a trend that they saw, the ACV beverages. So we're on the right trend going up.
And ACV stands for?
Apple cider vinegar.
Cool.
Yeah.
And the Switchel is sort of under that category then?
It is, yeah. The Switchels were just an old drink. I actually read about it in a Farmer's Almanac. It was an old 1973 Farmer's Almanac, and it was an old-timey recipe for even 1973. And I said, hey, this is something we can do. And that was back in the day when we were working out of a commercial kitchen with another guy who makes barbecue sauce. And every day he'd come in and he had apple cider vinegar there, and that's kind of where the whole thing started from, the idea of the Switchels. And they really caught on.
So you two are a pretty unique duo, I would say. You pitch together, which is something I sort of try to talk you out of, but I left it up to you. So how did that dynamic work, pitching, but how does that translate to how you run the business?
I think we felt that we couldn't do it without doing it together.
We're
'Cause
like a
that's-
team. Like, it's Sam and Eric.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not Sam, not Eric. It's Sam and Eric.
Yeah.
As much as like we do all of the things together, but we both have really specific strong suits, and the things that I cannot do and I can't fathom, I can't wrap my hand around, he can do, and vice versa. And there's very few things that between the two of us we can't achieve. But yeah, it's a package deal. So when you said that, I was like, dang, we got to find a way to kind of like work around it. But then I took the clues that you were giving me about the psychology behind it and trying to figure out how I was going to ease that transition in. So it's like, obviously we got to talk to the judges beforehand. So he came on at first kind of thing. And then I brought him up multiple times because I was like, okay, the more that they know that someone else is coming and then we don't go back and
that
forth.
was brilliant. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, so I like
honestly.
put it in a few times, and then once we switched, we just switched the one time because originally I was like, oh, we'll do every other slide, and you were like, no,
We'll do
that's
the switch
terrible.
all.
Yeah,
Well, it also just wastes a lot of time to have it that way too. And,
Yeah.
and you have in these pitches, you have such a limited amount of time to convey your story, your purpose, the traction that you've had, all those things. And so switching between co-founders, it's just eating time off your clock, you know?
Yeah.
10 minutes is brutal. Sorry to
Yeah?
interrupt. It was terrible. Like in the beginning, if you
Was it too long or
watch,
too
Too long or
short?
too short?
In the beginning,
Oh,
listen
man.
to how fast I'm talking because I have to talk at warp speed because I know that I only have 10 minutes.
10 minutes actually for pitches
It's
pretty
a
long.
lifetime.
I
of-
could stand up there.
The pitch competition on Tuesday was the 2-minute drill,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know how we could have packed it all into less.
You couldn't.
You get really good at it. I actually
Yeah.
tell all entrepreneurs, get really good at selling your mission in an elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Minute or less, be able to hop in and talk with someone real quick and be able to tell them your whole story. The better you are at that, there's a direct correlation to success.
Well, we better.
We're gonna have to work on that.
Get it down to 2 minutes, get into an elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Press fourth floor or whatever, and
Yeah, that
see
sounds
what comes out in the other
terrifying.
end.
Just like test on random people. Just pick a building in downtown,
Yeah.
like a receptionist at a law firm or something. Yeah, I have to tell you about my drink. Just test on people.
We'll just bring cans
Get-
and
get
start
direct
cornering
community
people
feedback.
Yeah.
into elevators. It's not creepy at all.
I
Kind of
can
like doing a mic drop. Just drop a can. There's our pitch.
hopefully it won't open as you drop it, right?
Explodes.
Yeah. Look, I'm really excited to see your product on Albertsons shelves. Hopefully I'll be one of the first ones to buy it. It's probably the most gratifying moment for me personally in this whole process is to see your product up there, and I can say to myself, we had something to do with that.
You did.
Yeah.
You better take a selfie when you go in there.
Oh, I do. And then I also
expecting.
help your velocity numbers
Oh.
because I buy the product.
Look at that.
And Albertsons goes, ooh, it's flying off the shelf. So you're going to start at the Market Street stores, and eventually, if sales support it, you will then expand to the Intermountain West stores.
Yeah.
Which
When?
is quite the distribution. I like that attitude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when.
it's not an if, it's a when. Hey, any innovative new flavors in the works that you want to touch on before we get off of this live session?
So our seasonal flavor for fall and winter is going to launch here in the next couple of weeks, and it's a spiced pineapple switchel. So it has the same backbone as the other switchels, the apple cider vinegar, ginger, and honey, same amounts, all the efficacious amounts, but then it has pineapple, cinnamon, and nutmeg. So I can't put this on the can because the FDA would be mad at me, but the functional properties behind it are designed for digestion. So the pineapple is going to have the bromelain. I think from about now until January, we all eat like garbage. And so I was like, how can I help people digest their garbage? This is what this is for. So that'll come out soon. It's in cans. It's just, she's naked. Shouldn't have a label yet.
Functional beverages with a purpose, just like this
Yes.
one. This was for Treefort and a mild hangover
Yes.
supplement, right?
A liver support, immune supporting. It was a
Mild
people.
hangover? You had a mild hangover?
I didn't have, yeah.
That's funny.
Well, with that, we're about out of time. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers to Earth
Cheers.
Beverages.
Yeah.
And coming up next is Bitcoin for Entrepreneurs, but also today we're featuring the Hacking for Home pitch competition put on by the Boise State Venture College. That'll air at 5 o'clock and winners will be announced at 5:30. But before we cut to the Bitcoin for Entrepreneurs, a quick word from our sponsors.